You've probably heard about the whole thing with the dinosaur skull, but did you know Nicolas Cage also once owned 2 European castles at the same time? Or how about his collection of bizarre and exotic pets? We'll take crazy spending for $400, Alex. This is how Nicolas Cage lost his fortune. Cage made his name playing flawed and tortured heroes, so maybe it's not hugely surprising that he's gotten himself into trouble with the law every now and again. According to TMZ, Cage was slammed with more than $13.3 million in liens for unpaid taxes from 2002, 2003, 2004, 2007, and 2009, but the actor vowed to pay the cost in full. Cage said, "Over the course of my career, I have paid at least $70 million in taxes. Unfortunately, due to a recent legal situation, another approximate $14 million is owed to the IRS. However, I am under new business management and am happy to say that I am current for 2009. All taxes will be paid, including any to-be-determined state taxes."
That's one way of looking at it. The other is you get to keep 75% and not go to prison for the rest of your life.
A cool $14 million might seem like spare change for an actor who was once worth $150 million, but his former business manager Samuel Levin told TMZ in 2009 that the star had to earn at least $30 million a year just to stay afloat. In fact, according to Yahoo, about half of his former net worth came from just 4 films: Gone in 60 Seconds, Snake Eyes, Wind Talkers, and National Treasure, and the last of those came out almost 15 years ago. Although you could argue that Cage is the king of straight-to-DVD releases, his castle doesn't come cheap, and neither does the other one. According to Reuters, the Wicker Man star bought an 11th century Bavarian castle for an estimated $2.3 million in 2006. The following year, he reportedly purchased an 18th century English castle for around £5 million, which comes out to around $8 million if you consider the exchange rate at the time. According to his former business manager, the castles were decrepit and needed huge expenditures, and although he allegedly put a whopping $4 million into the one in Germany, he only spent a single night there. You've got to assume that Cage has been angling for a role as a Bond villain. Why else would he buy himself a shark and 2 venomous snakes? According to the Daily Beast, the actor has owned his own spattering of rare birds, lizards, and purebred dogs. On top of that, he's also given a home to 2 albino king cobras and hung the anti-venom on a wall in his house, just in case they got a little too nippy. According to other reports, he's also purchased a $150,000 octopus, a crocodile, and a shark. Is there any animal he doesn't own?
Not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Open my eyes! Eyes! Ah!
What do a stolen dinosaur skull, a pyramid-shaped crypt, and heads all have in common? No, it's nothing to do with Indiana Jones. They're all things that Nicolas Cage has splashed his cash on. And why not, right? Yeah, it seems like Cage has been trying to amass a national treasure of his own. Somewhere along the line, he allegedly spent his money on a 9-foot-tall pyramid-shaped burial tomb and a bunch of shrunken heads. Strangest of all, he spent $276,000 on a 70-million-year-old dinosaur skull. According to The Guardian, Cage outbid Leonardo DiCaprio for the rare artifact back in 2007, but was notified by the Department of Homeland Security in 2014 that the skull, which came from a Tyrannosaurus bataar, was stolen. The gallery which sold Cage the skull had previously gotten in hot water too, having once hawked a smuggled dino skeleton linked to Eric Prokopi, the paleontologist known as a one-man black market in prehistoric fossils. Cage has since returned the skull to the Mongolian government. If you really need more proof that Nicolas Cage is a real-life action hero, how about the time he found himself at the center of a multi-million-dollar comic book heist? It's no secret that the star squandered a hefty chunk of his fortune on a comic book collection. According to CNBC, the star purchased an edition of the first-ever Superman comic for $150,000. Only around 100 copies are said to still exist. Unfortunately, Cage's ultra-rare copy of Action Comics #1 was lifted from his home in 2000. Luckily, according to The Hollywood Reporter, it was discovered again 11 years later in an abandoned storage locker, and later sold for $2.1 million, the highest price tag for a comic book in history. It is believed to have been sold on behalf of Cage, although that wasn't verified at the time. If so, this might count as one of the rare occasions on which the absurdity of Cage's life actually landed him a profit. The whole ordeal is so utterly ridiculous that it's even been picked up by Lionsgate and transformed into a heist comedy. Action #1 doesn't yet have a release date, but there's only one person who can possibly be cast in the lead role, right?
Going to detain a blighter for enjoying his whiskey?
It's all right, that's enough, sir.
Crackers and mash.
Sir?
Bubbles and squeak. Smoked eel pie.
Sir?
Haggis!